This is a painting inside of the Bonampak ruins in Chiapas, which is in Mexico. And as you see, they are a dark copper color. They're holding instruments and they have the headdresses on for a ceremony. And it says paintings tell this Maya story, first impressions of the Bonampak. The Bonampak archaeological zone in Chiapas, Mexico is small, but don't let its size determine the significance of this Mayan ruin. The preserved murals in Bonampak dating back to 790 AD are worth the trip to Chiapas. Archaeologists believe that Bonampak has the finest examples of classic Mayan frescoes. These murals introduce a different understanding of the Maya culture, unseen in other archaeological sites. It says Bonampak. Bonampak means painted wall in modern Mayan. This name sums up the treasure attraction to this Mayan ruin. Incredibly preserved painted frescoes located in Structure 1 in the main plaza. Professor Mary Miller from Yale University, who conducted an extensive study of the murals, wrote perhaps no single artifact from the ancient New World, which is not New World, it's Old World, offers as complex a view of the pre-Hispanic society. So when they say Hispanic, we know they're talking about the Spanish who invaded Mexico. So it says, do the Bonampak paintings. No other work features so many Maya engaged in life of the court and rendered in such great detail, making the Bonampak murals an unparalleled resource understanding the ancient society. The Bonampak history intertwines with the Uso-Macenta River. Bonampak traded and fought with other Maya tribes in the surrounding cities, most famously with the Yachilan and the Piedras Negras, which is also front of the Uso-Macenta River. More distant, the Palenque also used the river for commerce. The Uso-Macenta River bound by the various tribes together for trade, and at the same time pitted them against one another in battles for territory and dominance. The settlement of Bonampak dates to the early classic period, 580 to 800 AD, and with its demise thought to be in 900 AD with the neighboring settlement of Huaychilan. The frescoes date back to 790, if the murals truly reflect the history of Bonampak. It seems that this settlement had more wars and fighting than spiritual genius the Maya are so famous for. Fast facts about the Bonampak murals. The Bonampak is approximately 30 kilometers, 19 miles south of the larger site of Huaychilan. Under the Bonampak was a dependency and a border with Guatemala. The Bonampak dates to the early classic period, AD 580 to 800, collapsed around 900. With the Huaychilan, the Mayan murals and Structure 1 shows more conflict than mystic genius. The paintings date from 790 and were made as frescoes, similar method used on pottery. Bonampak was first seen by the non-Mayans in 1946. As of 2012, only murals in the main plaza are open. Other parts of the sites have been closed off and are not accessible to the public, even though they haven't been roped off. Murals of Bonampak. The Edificio de la Pintras, or Structure 1, houses the famed murals in 3 separate chambers. They were first shown by the local La Condon to international photographer G.S. Healy in 1946. The well-preserved murals believed to have been painted around 790 AD cover the walls and ceilings of the buildings of paintings. The murals explain in great detail the rituals of royal court, including human sacrifice, customs, musical instruments, and weapons of war. The first mural shows the blessing of a child, and the second mural a battle, including the torture and sacrifice of captives. And the third mural shows a celebration with dances and headdresses. The paintings were made as frescoes, a technique where paint is applied to wet plaster. The murals reveal no seams in the plaster, indicating each room was painted in a single session, as the plaster needs to be wet in order for the paint to adhere. The frescoes use natural colors from plant sources of blue, red, sipa, yellow, mauve, purple, and green. Only 4 people are allowed into each room at any time because of moisture affects the paintings. Okay, so I'm going to skip down. And they're showing you this is how the plaza looks from above. Okay. Now this is how it looks on the inside. This is how it looks on the outside. The other pyramid. And boom. There it is. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a picture of what they're now trying to portray as the Mayans. Okay, so this is from the show called Sons of Anarchy, and as you see, these are people that are Latino, people that are mixed, and they want to make you believe that people who descended from the Mayans only look like this, when we know Hollywood, they're good at casting spells. Now, my thing is this. Obviously, not all the Mayan people look like this, so where are the other Mayans? The other Mayans are now known today as Creek Indians, and they are very dark-skinned. Now, these people, these men right here, if they do have Mayan ancestry, it's been diluted by the Europeans, the Spaniards, and also by the Chinese who came over, who are now being called Native Americans. And I'm going to show you a picture of that book also, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Because these folks right here, they look more Asiatic, like as though like they descended from the Mongoloid Native Americans and then the Chinese slaves that were allowed to be called Indian in the nation of Mexico. Remember that picture that I showed you? And it was showing you people that looked like they were Latinos, and Latinos have like a Asiatic type of look to them, because a lot of the Mexican people that we see in America, in the United States of America, they look like they have a lot of Asian in them, either from the Mongoloid Indians, which they call Native Americans, that came over from Beringia, those type of Indians. But then also, look at this. It says Cambridge Latin American Studies, Asian Slaves in Colonial Mexico from Chicanos to Indians. So they're showing you how people who look like that man that was on the motorcycle, who they're trying to portray as the Mayans, when we know the Mayans was a dark copper colored people. Here they have foreigners that they allowed to have the status of Indian, even though they're foreign. And it says content. Okay. It says Indian slaves from the local and foreign markets. They said a diversity of rich of the Manila slave market, legal and theological debates about slavery, the Philippines. They say the Carina de San Juan, China slave and popular saint. Then they have here, skipping down, the Church of Chino slaves versus Indian Chinos. They have freed Chino slaves, joined the Republic of Indians. So basically, a group of people who were enslaved, Chinese people and Filipino people, they created a Republic of Indians when they're not even from this hemisphere. So they're usurping the land of the Aboriginal American Indians, whereas the Aboriginal American Indians, who are probably of Mayan ancestry, Mixtec ancestry, Zapotec ancestry, Aztec, and Inca ancestry, that they're probably, they're usurping their position. And I'm going to show you people who they're presuming and who they're claiming are Afro-Mexicans I'm going to show you how those people look and how far they are from the Bonampak murals, which is near Guatemala. Okay, now here's some pictures that they're saying of people that's in Mexico that are supposed to be Afro-Mexican. Okay, that's a picture of some. And then let's look at another picture of the people that live in Oaxaca. Oh, this is Guatemala. My mistake. Here's some people right here that they're claiming to be of African descent, or they say they have African descent, Afro-Mexicans. But I also think that these people have also indigenous ancestry since they live in Oaxaca, which is, which was, populated by 3 different archaeological sites. And so, 3 different tribes. Okay. Which they say it wasn't that far from the Olmec people, the Mixtec, and the Zapotec people. So who's to say that, like they always do, that they classify the indigenous people as African? But a lot of these people, some of them probably have some African ancestry. But I think that either A, they're full-blooded Aborigines, or either B, they're part Aborigine and part African. That's what I think. And because they're in the hotbed of where the archaeological artifacts are at, I think that's the real reason why they're getting such a pushback from the government to be recognized. And I'm about to show you that in the article. Okay, Latino Voices, it says HuffPost, Mexico finally recognizes its black citizens, but that's just the beginning. It says last month, for the first time, the Mexican government recognizes its 1.38 million citizens of African descent in a national survey. The survey served as a preliminary count before the 2020 national census, where black will debut on the official category. A major force behind the government's recognition was Mexico Negro, an activist group founded in 1997 by Sergio Pino Perez, a schoolteacher of African descent. Mexico Negro works for many other initiatives and the constitutional recognition of Afro-Mexicans and to increase the visibility of Afro-Mexican culture. Huffington Post recently caught up with Pino Lazo and to discuss the organization by Recognition Matters and what's next for Black Mexicans. The Black Mexican Agenda. We have been working for 20 years without much government response, so the events of the past year have been huge progress for us, Pino Lazo said to the Huffington Post on the phone from his home. And Suhini Kula Lapana Guerrero, Kuahini Sulapia, is one of the major Pueblos Negros, or black towns, of Mexico. It's also one of the center of the Costa Chica, southwestern states of Guerrero and Oaxaca, where the Afro-Mexican population concentrated. The nation's capital has a smaller black population. So from distance, Mexico Negro campaigned the recognition by INEGI, the census agency that did the initial count for Afro-Mexicans, and CONAPRE, the National Council of Preventing Discrimination. But you see, it says right here, this is a dance of the devils, is a dance performed by Afro-Mexicans in Costa Chica. But then when you look here, this bow and arrow, that's an American Indian thing. That's not an African thing. African people are not known for using bows and arrows. And then when you look at the headdresses of these people, these look like American Indian headdresses. They don't look African to me. So to me, I think that's rather strange, because if the people are supposed to be, African descent, then why are they doing, or why are they dressing up as American Indians? So that's why I say that I believe these folks are American Indians. They're indigenous people, but they're being reclassified as African people, or they are indigenous people who have American Indian ancestry and also African ancestry. That's what I'm thinking. What it could be is either one or the other. And they're saying here that they're trying to get Afro-Mexican people to be recognized in the curriculum in the universities. And so there it is for that particular thing. And now we're going to look on the map to see how far is this city of Oaxaca. How far is it from where the Mayan ruins are? Okay, Oaxaca. Now let's look at this area right here. As you see, this is an area where there's a lot of pyramids. Okay, as you see, these are big pyramids in Mexico, Oaxaca. And this is where they say a lot of the Afro-Mexicans live. And they're claiming that the Afro-Mexican people are people of African descent. Well, there were African people brought to Mexico. And I wouldn't be surprised if some Mexican people do have African ancestry, but they're probably not fully African. They probably have a lot of indigenous blood in them, as you see here, because there was obviously indigenous people that was living in this area. And so I'm thinking that they have a lot of the indigenous bloodline in them. And it says here, and they get a lot of pushback too by the government for being recognized on the census. So let's look at this. It says wildlife. Oaxaca is one of the most biologically diverse states of Mexico, with more than 50% of all species in Mexico staking a claim in Oaxaca. Bird watchers in particular will be in heaven in Oaxaca, as the state is home to a staggering 70% of all Mexico's 700 plus bird species. Hike in the mountainous area surrounding Hirave Agua for a better chance at spotting some of the region's beloved birds. Archaeological sites. One of the most archaeologically rich regions in Mexico. The Oaxaca Valley has a number of well-preserved ruins. Mitla is famed for its intricately carved fretwork mosaics, which are slotted together perfectly without the use of any mortar. Let's see. As pieces of puzzle, the exact meaning of the mosaics is unknown, but thought to be related to the afterlife. Mitla means underworld, and Zapotec, which is another Indian tribe in Mexico. It says UNESCO, a short distance from Oaxaca Center, is the UNESCO site of Monte Alban, is one of Mexico's most jaw-dropping ruins, continuously inhabited over a span of 1,500 years by the Zapotec, Mixtec, and Olmec peoples. So you hear that? So this area is basically, it's a site that's known by the United Nations, okay, because it has so many different sites where the Aborigines were living at, different Aboriginal tribes. as the Zapotec, the Mixtec, and the Olmec peoples, okay? Now, this is the area where they say that the Afro-Mexican people live. So, more than likely, they're probably the descendants of these tribes. It says several ancient pyramids, an observatory, a ball court have withstood the centuries, overlooking Oaxaca City from their privileged vantage point 400 meters above the valley floor. When Oaxaca, you can't miss tasting mezcal, tequila's smoky growing up sibling, whereas tequila is made from slowly baked agave hearts, peanuts. Oaxaca mezcal utilizes peanuts that are roasted in a fire pit before being distilled. The result is delightfully complex and smoky. Try it at a local mezcaleria or visit a mezcal distillery outside the city. Best day trip. Explore Oaxaca Valley by checking out the Tianguya, a local open air market that runs on different days of the week in various towns. And it says the largest is Tlacolula, about 60 minutes away by car or collective tax, where artisans and farmers shut down. The streets are set up a Sunday market full of handicrafts, produce, and this being Oaxaca food stalls. Don't miss the delicious barbecue. As we know, barbecue is an American Indian food. Okay, so, and it says in addition to the gorgeous church, you can explore the accompanying museum full of pre-Columbian, meaning like before Columbus, artifacts that was created by the American Indians, of course. And then they said, then the lush ethno-botanical garden in the back. Okay. So that's what they have to say about that city. Now let's look at the people. Okay, so as you see on this map right here, it's letting you know how far it is from Oaxaca, the city of Oaxaca, all the way down to Chiapas, which is near Guatemala and Belize. They say it'll take 7 hours and 53 minutes if you was in a car going from where they said the Mixtec, the Olmec, and the Zapotec ruins are, all the way to where the Mayans ruins of Bonampak are located near Guatemala. Okay, so guys, so this is going to be the end of Volume 1, Part 1 of the connection between the ancient Mayans in Georgia and also historical references. Okay, so this is going to be the beginning of a video by Hawk School, and the name of this video, as you see, is called Ancient Mayans and the Georgia Connection, and I'm going to play it.
Going up this mountain slope, maybe over 100 of these are just all over the place. Now you said over 100? Yeah, it's amazing. You know, you walk along, all of a sudden there's a rock wall and then a relatively flat area. Now this is a shot from up at the upper elevation. See how nicely constructed that wall is? And then there were some water features, some of these dams that were reservoirs or something to control water. And there was some rock cairns up there, some type of ceremonial structures, and I even found a rectangular stone foundation for a structure of some type, pyramid. pyramids, perhaps? Okay. So we have rock formations, extensive terraces to control water, and stone foundations. Is it big? You could get lost up there. The only direction that you would know to get out is to go down. Okay. I tell you, if you want to know more about this, and this is how I found out about the site, you need to contact Richard Thornton. He's a Native American architect down in Georgia, and he spent a decade studying this. Does he think there could be a Maya-Georgia connection at this site? Yeah, and that's what caught my attention. I'll tell you what, John, if the Mayans came to Georgia, this could rewrite history.
If the Mayans came to Georgia, this could rewrite history. So for all you Pan-African ass niggas, I want you to know that this shit is already a known fact. All them old ass books you reading from Cambridge and these Europeans talking about the Darwin theory and all this bullshit, the gig is up, as my brother Aboriginal Power put it. The veil is being removed, bruh. The truth is out here.
Visiting down at Chattahoochee National Forest. Yes. Trying to look at some mound structures. I'm investigating a possible connection between the Mayans and Georgia. And tried to go look at these mounds, and I was denied.
You're kidding.
No, I was denied. First of all, I take it you support this whole Mayan-Georgia connection?
Well, it's not even a theory, it's a fact. The Mayas are one of the Mexican...
Let's bring that back. It's Richard Thornton. And they talking about Native American. That's why I want y'all to pay attention. Native American is not the same thing as Aboriginals, American Indians. You know what I'm saying? As you can clearly see, he damn near look white. No disrespect, but Native Americans are, you know what I'm saying, native to America. They're not indigenous to America. So let's bring back what he just said. Let's bring that back.
Investigating a possible connection between the Mayans and Georgia. And tried to go look at these mounds, and I was denied.
You're kidding.
No, I was denied. First of all, I take it you support this whole Mayan-Georgia connection?
Well, it's not even a theory, it's a fact. The Mayas are one of the Mexican Native American ethnic groups that became the Creek Indians.
What are some of the things that to you...
It's not even a theory, it's a fact. The Mayas are one of the Mexican Native American ethnic groups that became the Creek Indians.
What are some of the things that to you provide evidence of this assimilation?
And so what he's saying is that the Creek Indians and the Mayans are one and the same. They're the same people. And then on the screen, they showed how the Creek Indians are located in the southeastern United States. And for the states that I know about that they're located in, I know for sure Alabama, Georgia, and I want to, I think also like the Carolinas also, and Florida, because I think